So in this video, I thought it'd be fun to have a playful video on what is enlightenment. My first book was a guide on avoiding enlightenment because the concept of enlightenment can be like a spiritual cookie to the ego. It's something it wants to achieve, a goal. And it has this goal in mind when it's doing meditation or yoga, and it can be really it can really interfere with these practices and get us on the wrong track. So in a way, we might want to avoid the whole thing altogether, but as long as we're being playful about it and not too serious, we can get some definitions. And I'd like to hear if you have got your own definition of what you think enlightenment is. Drop a line in the comments. But here's the way I would put it. So here we are, us humans, and we're storytelling machines. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we tell one story after another, and we believe almost all of them. And these stories are about the people around us. They're about the world around us, trying to predict what's going to happen next and solve problems. So we increase our survival. And one of the most powerful stories we tell is a story about who we think we are, the story of the self, the ego. And sometimes it's all caught up in personality. Sometimes it's about some property of the body. But these are all identities. And identities are all stories. And these are all fueled by consciousness. Consciousness gives life to all these stories. But for whatever reasons, consciousness awareness can become disidentified with the storytelling machine. And when that happens, that's really what I'm referring to as enlightenment. Awareness, aware of simple awareness. And so the storytelling machine is completely unplugged. Now the interesting thing about that is that when we look at all our personal stories, you can't drag them into enlightenment because that's the whole definition. It's a storyless state of awareness. But that's exactly what the personality wants to do. And that's why we have this idea that some personalities are more enlightened than others, but that's just not the way it is. Or this puts us all on a level playing field as far as our personalities are concerned. And it also explains why so many spiritual teachers that have these experiences, but then they are stuck in these human bodies and the mind turns back on, and then they're susceptible to the same frailties, the same follies as every other human. And people wonder that, like, well, shouldn't something have changed? And it just seems like they're just ordinary people, which of course they absolutely are. They're all of us are ordinary people. But does anything come out of this? Is there any kind of change that happens if you have enough of these experiences? And that's not exactly the right way to put it either. But one could say, well, the more you the more you unplug the storytelling machine, the less you take it seriously. And so that's one way we could really look at this whole thing, and that the practices of meditation, the practices of yoga or Tai Chi, whatever you do, to become more the observer of the story, the less power, the less force the story has with you in your life, and the less serious it's taken. And that's why I think Alan Watts had it so perfect when he said, we suffer because we take seriously what God meant as fun.